Kilmar Abrego Garcia appears in court charges on helping traffic thousands of migrants. That's what they're claiming. Okay. They are bringing back Kilmar Abrego Garcia into the United States from first he was sent to CCOT, if you recall. And then a big fuss was made about this by even some Democrats, luckily. And then what? But you devalue them when you sympathize with Trump supporters, Hasan? What? Huh? Trump voters? What? What are you saying? What the is wrong with you? Understanding why people are duped into voting for Trump is an important part of my job as a political commentator. Trying to stop them from making this mistake again is also an important part of my job as a political commentator. Okay? I'm not going to treat random Uber drivers as my enemy when I'm having a normal conversation, as I'm applying materialist analysis, as I'm trying to understand how they arrived at the conclusions that they arrived at, while also putting a lot of the blame in the hands of the Democratic Party for not actually creating a decent counter messaging campaign against this kind of idiotic fascist policy. At no point do I approve
the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. We want to thank President Bukele for agreeing to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Our government presented El Salvador with an arrest warrant, and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges. This is what American justice looks like. Upon completion of his sentence, we anticipate he will be returned to his home country of El Salvador. The grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant...
He had no charges before this. They just whipped up a mock charge so they can charge him with something, anything, so they can then turn around and say, haha, we told you so. This guy's actually a real criminal. Make no mistake, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not sent away to El Salvador for the charges that they're now applying after the fact. Okay? And for the record, these charges are not convictions. And obviously in the upcoming days, we'll pay close attention to what these charges might be. But it is crazy. It is crazy that they're trying to post hoc rationalize this unjustifiable and illegal deportation campaign after admitting that they made a mistake in deporting him to El Salvador to begin with. The only issue here is this is the first time that the government lawyers, the immigration lawyers, actually admitted that they mistakenly deported him, okay? That was the issue here. They admitted that they mistakenly deported him. There are numerous other people that they also should not have deported to El Salvador, but the government actually made a mistake by admitting a mistake. That's it.
Significant role in an alien.
And now they're trying to punish him all the more. They're trying to bring him back into the country, and they're trying to do this mock trial after the fact so they can do a post hoc justification for why they deported him to begin with, even though they admitted that they mistakenly deported him and it was illegal to deport him to El Salvador. Isn't it worrying that they're confident enough to go for a trial? It's worrying, but not for the reasons why you imply it's worrying. You think it's worrisome because you think maybe deep down inside that they have a valid case. I think it's worrisome because it is an erosion of justice that they actually have the confidence of post hoc rationalizations for a false immigrant enforcement action that they recognized was a mistake. Do you understand? They just aren't concerned with anything other than the aesthetics, and they have a plan for what they plan for after they lose, blaming liberal judges, etc., etc. Yeah, most likely. Most likely. If they actually give him a trial, any halfway decent lawyer can tear apart this case in 5 seconds. Yes. There are so many different ways of tackling this issue. Obviously, one of them is malicious prosecution. But then beyond that, like, I suspect that the charges that they're declaring are ridiculous to begin with. It's like when you, in the state of Florida, if you actually talk back to a cop, it's illegal. Did you guys know that? There's like there's a different penalty for obstruction of justice by refusing to comply. Okay, it's still under resisting arrest. It's still considered obstruction of justice, and that sounds serious, right? But then you look at the actual situation, and the cop is like trying to give you lip, and you just don't take it, and you're like, dude, f off. And it's on the recording, but it's still technically illegal. Do you understand? Osama, I'm at your house. Don't freak out. Wait, why? Why are you at my house? They were about to get sanctions from a judge for making no effort to return him, so they decided to do this to avoid the sanctions. Yeah, I feel like there's a very small win in the sense that it seems like they're trying to save face after playing hardline with the judiciary regarding the illegal removal. That's what it feels like to me, too.
Smuggling ring.
What are you doing here?
They found
What are you doing?
This was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This is a special.
The reason why I brought up the obstruction of justice charge that's like completely stupid in the state of Florida is because what these guys are considering like smuggling thousands of illegal aliens or whatever could just as easily have been carpool with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and his co-workers. Okay? Just because the state has a nefarious way of framing certain activities should not be, for all of you at least, an instant proof that this person has engaged in a heinous act of criminality, okay? Like they could say an Uber driver has engaged in human trafficking of thousands of illegal aliens, okay? I don't know what it is. But what I do know, I don't know what it is that they're charging him with or like how much truth there is to the claims. But what I do know is this. None of this was the reason why they deported him. As a matter of fact, they then turned around and admitted that they had no reason to deport him other than the fact that they considered him to be undocumented and that it was an accident that they deported him to the one country that he had a withdrawal from, a withholding of removal from, which is El Salvador, because his life would be in jeopardy if he went into El Salvador, if he was deported back to El Salvador. This kind of post hoc rationalization is literally illegal, okay? Not only is it illegal to deport someone to El Salvador if previous courts have said he is not deportable to El Salvador, it is also illegal and unconstitutional to add additional charges after the fact. Ridiculous. I like that they're just claiming he's a MS-13 undocumented migrant trafficker.
Actually disturbing because Abrego Garcia is also alleged with transporting minor children. The defendant traded the innocence of minor children for profit. There are even more disturbing facts that the grand jury uncovered. It is alleged this defendant is part of the same smuggling ring responsible for the death of more than 50 migrants in 2021 after the tractor trailer overturned in Mexico. This is part of that same ring. The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators, who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions.
What?
They were using vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women.
What is insane about this story, once again, is if that at his point of deportation, by the way, it still would have been illegal to deport him to El Salvador. But if all of this evidence supposedly was used in a court of law to engage in a lawful removal action, okay, then there would be no back and forth, no media controversy surrounding Kilmar Abrego Garcia's detention and unlawful deportation to El Salvador. Well, not to El Salvador. If all of this information was valid enough to present to a judge, okay, they could probably even remove his previous his previous immigrant court enforcement that made it illegal to send him to El Salvador, and that they could have legally deported him to El Salvador. Okay?
MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. These facts demonstrate Abrego Garcia.
Okay, this language gives the game away. They're offering deals to people to name Abrego Garcia as an accomplice in the cases they're being prosecuted on. She's naming the sources as those currently being prosecuted as the sources. Yeah, which is ironic because his initial brush with ICE also happened to be some random guy that alleged that he was actually MS-13 to get a lower charge. And the MS-13 gang that he was supposedly a part of was operating out of a state that he had never actually been inside of, which immediately made it so stupid that even an immigration court did not find it reasonable enough. Think about that. Immigration courts are not exactly your friends. They're not exactly friends to the undocumented migrants. Okay? So if an immigration court doesn't find it to be serious enough, an accusation to be like valid enough, it's not real. Yeah. For some context, a grand jury can issue an indictment with probable cause that the person committed the offense. That burden of proof is insanely low, about 10 to 15% certainty that something is true. Only the prosecution can offer evidence, and there's no other narrative shown besides what the government than the government wants to prove. Yes. Not true. About grand jury indictments, what do you think the grand jury can indict a ham sandwich cliche is about? No, that doesn't mean anything. A grand jury indictment doesn't fucking mean anything. What's more meaningful is the actual court proceedings, where the prosecution will make prosecution, which will be the state, right, will bring up as many trumped up charges as possible with a faucet of ridiculous, erroneous claims, at least claims that they have enough evidence to tie to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And then the defense will fight back against those charges. And if they're competent enough, will disprove a bunch of them, or at least cast doubt on a lot of them enough that a jury of his peers will not convict him or find him guilty beyond reasonable doubt. A grand jury is different than this process.
Is a danger to our community. We want to thank the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, our state and local partners, our acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire, and prosecutors from the Joint Task Force Vulcan.
Criminal charges for alleged human trafficking.
Mistakenly deported Salvadoran native Kilmar Abrego Garcia appeared in a Tennessee courtroom Friday, hours after he was brought back into the United States to face criminal charges for allegedly transporting undocumented migrants within the U.S. More than 2 months after the Trump administration admitted it mistakenly deported Abrego Garcia from Maryland to his native El Salvador, a federal grand jury indicted him for allegedly transporting undocumented migrants within the United States. A 2-count indictment, which was filed under seal in federal court in Tennessee last month and unsealed Friday, alleges Abrego Garcia, 29, participated in a year-long conspiracy to haul undocumented migrants from Texas to the interior of this country. The return of Abrego Garcia from his native El Salvador follows a series of court battles in which the Trump administration repeatedly said it was unable to bring him back, drawing the country to... That was the other side. They were like, oh, we can't bring him back. Oh, turns out they can, expeditiously, as a matter of fact. And they did. He made his initial court appearance Friday evening in the Middle District of Tennessee, answering, yes, I understand in Spanish, when the U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes asked him if he understood the charges against him. Judge Holmes set his hearing for June 13th, where Abrego Garcia will be arraigned on charges, and the judge will take up the government's motion to hold him in pretrial detention because he poses a danger to the community and a serious flight risk. Yeah, he's going to escape and then leave the country. Is that what the argument is? Meanwhile, some really sketchy shit happening, as I said, as where is it? Aaron Melnick, the immigration attorney that hold on. Aaron Reichlin Melnick was reporting on. He's been talking about this case quite a bit. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. The initial prosecutor, Ben Schrader, the former chief of the criminal division for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville, resigned following the office's decision to seek an indictment against Kilmar Abrego-Garcia. The chief of the criminal division for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville resigned. If convicted at trial, the defendant faces a maximum punishment of 10 years imprisonment for each alien he transported, said the government's motion for detention, which also contained an allegation not included in the indictment that one of Abrego-Garcia's co-conspirators told authorities that Abrego-Garcia participated in the murder. Oh, come on. Abrego-Garcia's attorney in an online press briefing called the charges against his client an abuse of power. They'll stop at nothing at all, even some of the most preposterous charges imaginable, just to avoid admitting that they made a mistake, which is what everyone knows about this case, said attorney Simon Sandoval Mosenberg. Mr. Garcia is going to be vigorously defending the charges against him, the attorney said. The decision to pursue the indictment against Abrego-Garcia led to the abrupt departure of Ben Schrader, a high-ranking federal prosecutor in Tennessee, sources briefed on Schrader's decision told ABC News. Schrader's resignation was prompted by concerns that the case was being pursued for political reasons, the sources said. Schrader, who spent 15 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville and was most recently the chief of the criminal division, declined to comment when contacted by ABC News. Chatters also might be thinking Abrego-Garcia is from Maryland. Why is he indicted in Tennessee? Well, all the government needs to allege is that Abrego-Garcia drove through Tennessee while carrying out the crime, which could literally be driving someone with undocumented status. It's pretty clear judge shopping to get someone as a judge who is conservative. Yes. And also, the reason why he was stopped was because he was speeding in Tennessee. Where is it? Bondi said if Abrego-Garcia is convicted of the charges, blah, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da-da, grand jury found over the past 9 years, all this lies and shit. From the beginning, this case has made one thing painfully clear. The government had the power to bring him back at any time. Instead, they chose to play games with the court and with a man's life. We're not just fighting for Kilmar. We're fighting to ensure due process rights are protected for everyone, because tomorrow this could be any of us if we let the power go unchecked, if we ignore our Constitution. Abrego-Garcia, Salvadoran native who had been living with his wife. Oh, by the way, the only piece of evidence they have is a video of him in Tennessee driving with people from a traffic stop. That's why it's in Tennessee, not judge shopping. No, because the supposed crime is literally a speeding ticket or whatever, or it is the same as judge shopping. Like, he could have had a speeding ticket with undocumented migrants in Maryland as well, because it's not an indication that he was actually a human trafficking. Do you understand? Also, everything that this administration does revolves around judge shopping. It's the same reason why they send people down to the Jenna facility in Louisiana. If anything, the reason why they did this is probably because I suspect the reason why they did this is because it's the only thing that they could hold on to, like the only thing that they could grab onto. Not to say that like everyone in Tennessee is up in a right-wing judge or a conservative judge, but I suspect that out of this guy's like entire existence, that was the only thing that they could grab onto that had at least like a likelihood of having a more conservative judge. Yeah, Pam Bondi literally said he participated in a conspiracy that ended up in the smuggling of thousands of migrants across the country. They literally could have charged him anywhere if they wanted, if they had any semblance of evidence that Abrego-Garcia was in that state. Since the only shred of evidence was that he was in Tennessee, that was the only state other than Maryland that he could be indicted in. Simple. Exactly. They couldn't get him on. They know that it will be made mincemeat in the state of Maryland. So outside of Maryland, Tennessee is the second best option that they had, seemingly. I'm sure that if they had found him in a vehicle, if they had caught him with a parking ticket in Texas or Louisiana, or I don't know, like anything, any minor thing that he had done in any of these states where he had a brush with law enforcement, they would have used that state instead. Well, I guess it depends. It depends on the severity of the crime too. That's precisely the reason why one of the ridiculous allegations made by another person that was apprehended was that he was actually a part of an MS-13 gang that operates out of Long Island, despite the fact that he was never in New York, and there was no evidence that he'd ever been in New York. So they dropped that part real quick, if you recall. The Trump administration is also, this is the same guy that Trump claimed had a tattoo of M, tattoo of S, tattoo of 1 and 3 on his knuckles. Okay. That's the same guy. So excuse me for being a little skeptical about this government that is lying like Israel does. Okay. We're at the Israel level of lies now, like stupid and childish. The administration argued, however, that Abrego Garcia should not be returned to the U.S. because he's a member of the transnational Salvadoran gang. Abrego Garcia's family filed a lawsuit over his deportation. U.S. District Judge Paul Azinis in Maryland ordered the Trump administration to facilitate his return. Abrego Garcia was initially sent. Criminal investigation that led to the charge was launched in April as the federal authorities began Dude, okay. The criminal investigation that led to the charges was launched in April. Oh, so after they deported him and then admitted that they mistakenly deported him, and then a judge said he has to be returned after a Supreme Court unanimous decision that stated that a facilitation of his return must be started. Only after that, they started an investigation to the criminal mastermind. Wow. How incredible, dude. That's crazy. That's so sick that it was just, they just really lucked out, it seems. Yeah, SCOTUS ruling was literally the 10th of April. So right after the Supreme Court ruling, they just happened upon an investigation where they looked through every single brush-in that this man has had with law enforcement, and the best they could find was a traffic stop. That obviously didn't even reach the level of scrutiny from the Tennessee Highway Patrol that they didn't apprehend him. What is the argument here? That the Tennessee Highway Patrol was like, go right ahead, sir. It's very obvious that you are a part of MS-13 and you are criminally trafficking these undocumented migrants, but we just realized you're undocumented, so we're just going to let you go, Mr. Trafficker of Thousands. Do you think that's what happened? Do you think Tennessee Highway Patrol is in collaboration, is in cahoots with MS-13, and that's why they let him go? Abrego Garcia was pulled over for speeding in a vehicle with 8 passengers and told police they had been working construction in Missouri. According to body camera footage of the 2022 traffic stop, the Tennessee troopers, after questioning Abrego Garcia, discussed among themselves their suspicions that Abrego Garcia might be transporting people for money because 9 people were traveling without luggage, but Abrego Garcia was not ticketed or charged. The officers ultimately allowed Abrego Garcia to drive on with just a warning about an expired driver's license, according to a report about the stop released. So even the racist-ass Tennessee Highway the Tennessee Highway Patrol people were like, yo, this guy's real Mexican looking. Maybe them boys are undocumented. Okay. Let him go. Asked what circumstances have changed since Abrego Garcia was not taken into custody during that traffic stop in Tennessee. Bondi replied, what has changed is Donald Trump is now the president of the United States and our borders are again secure. Thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work, as opposed to the woke and gay police work under the Brandon leadership. Yeah, when Brandon was the president, he obviously was able to hypnotize every single cop in our glorious nation and stop them from doing their job, which somehow requires cops to be extra racist, more racist than they normally would be. They said in the indictment that the Suburban doesn't have a third row seating, and they had MS-13 installed. A Suburban literally has third row seating law. Even if they installed third row seating, how would that be an indication that this is actually a trafficking vehicle? That's just the argument from the state. We don't have to believe the argument from the state that is very clearly trying to do a shambolic trial after the fact, after the Supreme Court decision. Chat, what are you nuts? Where's the goddamn? There's body camera footage that was released as well. How can she be so incompetent? No, on this issue they can be incompetent. It doesn't matter because the goal is not to actually find real criminal migrants. The goal is to just make it seem like they're, doing real immigrant enforcement actions And because in the process they're just like sweeping away random people that are clearly not, you know, they're not doing anything, that it's going to be quite difficult for them to like make a competent case.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good, and you? All right. Everything good? You got a bunch of people in here, don't you?
It's 1 for 6. Yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where are you working at?
Where?
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from to Maryland.
Okay. Now the reason I stopped you, we was running 75 down through here.
75?
Yeah. Of course, this is 65 through here.
I know. I'm going to 70.
Going 70?
Yeah. What's the limit right now? Is 70 or 65?
It's 65.
Wait, they stopped him for 75? He didn't even lie. He said 10 over? How the bro, 75 on a freeway at what is this? Is it 8 p.m. or is it actually I don't remember. It was like, I guess it is 8 p.m. Bro, 75 on a highway. Oh my God. Hasan is so California coded because he drives 85. Every American drives 10 over. It is like, that is ridiculous. I've never heard someone getting pulled over for going 10 over unless they're black or brown. 10 over is standard, dude. What the This is Tennessee. They take speeding extremely seriously down there. The cars are painted to blend into the mountains too. They're extremely serious. I hate driving there. They're insane about speeding in Tennessee. Like literally never ever speed in Tennessee, chat. There are towns in the South that basically only exist through speeding ticketing revenue. They will pull you over for anything. Wow. As a Tennessean, I've gotten a ticket for 67 and a 65 in Nashville. What the yo, that is crazy. Okay, bro. America is not the land of the free, dog. Okay. I'm sorry. I know this is not the main point of contention, but if red states are operating entirely off of revenue that they generate off of these insane tickets that they're issuing, America is not the land of the free. This is a police state. How the do right-wingers not revolt on a daily basis? Yeah, not the land of the free, the land of the fee, dude. What the hell? What the hell? Oh my God. Oh my God. Bro, you get high beamed if you don't go over 10 in California. If obviously it's not bumper to bumper traffic. Like what? You could be on the rightmost lane and you'll have a busted ass pickup truck hitting you with the high beams being like, what the are you doing? Is you're going 65 on the highway. What are you, stupid? What do you got, issues, dude? You got nowhere to be? What's going on? In New Mexico, if you're not going 10, they'll pull you over for being suspicious. Okay, let's keep going.
I can see it, sir.
You got all your
Because
info?
I see the other, the speed limit. I see the.
Yeah, it jumps up and down.
My bad. Yeah, my bad. Give me my license.
Yeah, your driver's license, your registration, and your proof of insurance.
By the way, this dude's vibes are immaculate, for the record. Like, he's hitting levels of nice speak with these cops that I did not think was possible previously. He's like trying to do small talk and he's cool as a goddamn cucumber.
Oh my God. Okay, sure.
You what?
The problem with my license right now is expired, right?
It's suspended?
Suspended because I have my permanent employment, so like 2 years experience. So I need. So right now I waiting the paper.
He got out of a speeding ticket with an expired license by the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Release this man. Let this dude be his own lawyer. He don't need no lawyer, dude. This man has got the silver tongue. He's just openly admitting he's the undocumented. No, he's not saying that. He's not saying he's undocumented. He is saying he has a worker's permit.
Paper for migration. For I go to the MBA. So
Also, worst smuggler of all time, driving with an expired license. He was just crazy.
that car no is mine, so it's to my boss.
So where do y'all live at?
Where I living? I live in Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah, Oxon.
Whose vehicle is it?
What, excuse me?
Whose car is it?
It's to my boss.
Your boss?
My boss, yeah.
Where's he live? Where's your boss live?
My boss right now is staying in Maryland, but he lives in Texas.
Okay.
In Houston, Texas.
His homie's smart. He ain't saying he's not even there. If you ask me, yeah, he's just.
Have you got the proof of insurance?
Yeah, I don't know where it's put at my boss. Let me call.
So where are you guys coming from right now? Where are you coming from?
From San Luis.
When people smuggle, they usually hire people like that, expired license or issues, because they usually really need the money, so they're more down to do it in their situation. Dog, 90% of drug smugglers are documented American citizens with every single piece of identification that is up to date. 90%. You are wrong. It is the exact opposite. Smuggling expert here. No, you're wrong. First of all, we're talking about a competent criminal enterprise, dummy. No, you're absolutely wrong. They literally do it with truckers and Why would they use random dudes? Why would they use random dudes, man, when clearly a guy like this is gonna get stopped at a certain point with an expired license.
So I work in San Luis. So right now, finished. That place finished. So I go back. Everybody go back to the house.
Yeah, cartels use white people to smuggle, so cops won't stop them. They use white people. People who are less likely, people who are literally less likely to be stopped by cops. Because if you want to smuggle people or if you want to smuggle drugs into the country, who are the cops going to stop? Guy who doesn't speak English that well with no paperwork, not an American citizen yet, only has like a temporary work permit and has an expired license, or American citizen that's as white as your goddamn cousins driving with a chopped up car.
Maryland. Next week, I go maybe tonight to the other project.
I thought you was going to Missouri.
Yeah, cartels use white people to smuggle drugs so often that Clint Eastwood made a whole ass movie about it.
The next project, I told you, the next project next week is everybody going to Niceville. The next project, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
What do y'all do?
Huh?
What kind of work is it?
It's construction, like remoderation, painting, drywall, everything like that.
Does anybody else have a driver's license?
Driver license?
Yeah.
No,
Nobody?
Only me, so it's there for real.
Can you find your insurance?
Si pueden buscar la insurance. You say?
Your insurance, can you find it?
I call my boss because I don't know where put the car.
Okay. I'm gonna go back here and run your license and stuff real quick, okay? I'll be right back. How dark are your windows?
Huh?
How dark's the back windows?
Window?
It's not his car, man. It's his boss's car. He's very clearly driving a bunch of construction workers. Goddamn.
Yes.
Stand by. How dark are they?
The colors
Yeah.
from Texas is good.
He said it's legal in Texas. Oh, that's awesome.
How many rolls have you?
Girl, the boycott. I'm sorry, this was 2022. It was not BDS yet. Okay? It was not BDS yet.
You got in here? 4?
Where?
4 seats? 4 rows of seats?
Yeah, it's three seats. Yeah, with him. Yeah.
Did y'all put an extra one in?
Huh?
Did y'all put another one in?
No.
Did it come like this?
Use the truck.
I've never seen one with that many seats in it.
What you say? It's my boss.
I said I've never seen one with that many seats.
Is not his car, man. Is his boss's car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why I was asking if you put an extra one in.
No, it's the same. Like this.
Okay.
Why did none of them have luggage for doing a job several states away? Not gonna lie, this would make me a little suspicious. Now he's fishing. Why did none of them have luggage? I don't know, man, because they're broke. Like, they're not. Do you think these guys bring their like own special tools to the job site? Or do you think they just go to the job site, do the goddamn job, and then drive back? I don't understand. Why are these guys not towing forklifts behind them? They're carpooling to a job site, dude. What the Oh, they busted out the
You know what you got here, right? He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope. And
No, but
he,
squatted back
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to all these people. Probably.
Yeah, why'd they let him go? What did the dog show? Nothing. That's why they let him go. This guy literally is like, yeah, they're mangling people. He's hauling these people for money. He's hauling these people for money. Bet they got drugs too. That's why we brought the canine unit out. Turns out even the canine unit didn't find nothing. Guess we had to let him go. Did they put in this scene after the fact? No. This is like a cut down of like, I guess, the worst aspects of this traffic stop from the body camera footage. Yeah, Brandon's about to pop into the screen and tell him to let him go. Just wait. Classic Hasan Abi not watching the full video. Yeah, they did those guys can drywall a house in 2 days, I bet. Oh, yeah. Sometimes they get in these real big lawn cars with many seats, smuggling people from place to place. They use code words like greyhounds. Yeah, greyhound is a dog, not a long tube with numerous wheels on it. You can't fool me. I knew a greyhound. My pappy had a greyhound back in the day when we used to go hunting. Have you seen Narcos? I know. Sometimes these guys put extra seats on it. Every blue-collar construction worker in the country has lived this exact experience down to the driver, not telling anyone his shit is expired. This is pure Americana. Yeah. I like that they said that he was like trafficking women that he was coercing too. And it's just like, I'm more inclined to believe the actual the more reasonable approach here, which is that they were at a job site and going back to Maryland. According to body camera footage of the 2022 traffic stop, the Tennessee troopers, after questioning Abrego Garcia, discussed amongst themselves the suspicion that Abrego Garcia might be transporting people for money because 9 people were traveling without luggage, but Abrego Garcia was not ticketed or charged. Also, the other part about this is like smuggling people. Wouldn't they have luggage if they were being smuggled into the country or going from one state to the next? That's the thing that I don't understand. Like, isn't it more likely that he's not smuggling people and they're actually just going from job site to job site if they don't have luggage on them? Like, what the The officers ultimately allowed Abrego Garcia to drive on with just a warning about an expired driver's license, according to the report about the stop. As what circumstances have changed since Abrego Garcia was not taken into custody. Yeah, we already covered that part. ABC News first reported last month the Justice Department had been quietly investigating the Tennessee traffic stop as a part of the probe. Federal agents in late April visited federal prison in Talladega, Alabama, to question Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes, a convicted felon who was the registered owner of the vehicle Abrego Garcia was driving when stopped on Interstate 40 east of Nashville, sources previously told ABC News. Hernando Reyes was not present at the traffic stop. He's 38, currently serving a 30-month sentence for illegally re-entering the U.S. after a prior felony conviction for illegal transportation of aliens. After being granted limited immunity, that's up. Hernandez Reyes allegedly told investigators that he previously operated a taxi service based in Baltimore. He claimed to have met Abrego Garcia around 2015 and claimed to have hired him on multiple occasions to transport undocumented migrants from Texas to various locations in the United States. When details of the Tennessee traffic stop were first publicized, Abrego Garcia's wife said her husband sometimes transported groups of fellow construction workers between job sites. Unfortunately, Kilmar is currently in prison without contact with the outside world, which means he cannot respond to the claims. Hasan, you think you know more than the what? More than that cop's eyes do? No, as a matter of fact, I'm actually relying on that cop's eyes in this circumstance because those cops stopped 9 brown dudes with an expired license, and they let him go after 20 minutes, and a canine unit sniffed the goddamn car. So if the Tennessee Highway Patrol is letting 9 brown dudes, okay, 9 brown dudes where the driver is apparently going 10 over with an expired license, and he can't even produce the insurance for the car, and it's not even his car, and they're like, yeah, whatever, let him go. Then clearly they didn't think he was a present danger. Also, most people know more than cops. A child knows more than cops, okay? But in this circumstance, even the cops themselves were like, yeah, normally we would love to lock these dudes up, but it doesn't seem like there's anything crazy happening here. Just suspicions. Bet you Reyes did a false confession under duress? No, he got a limited immunity plea deal. This looks bad for you? What? What looks bad for me? Wait, what? First of all, why would anything look bad for me? I don't give a like, what do you mean this looks bad for me? We're having a back and forth about a dude that the federal government literally black bagged and sent to a state that the federal government previously said they shouldn't send to, that they then admitted that they actually illegally sent to. And then the current federal government decided we have to find some erroneous case that we can charge him with after the Supreme Court said, yeah, you got to bring this guy back. Who do you think this looks bad for? Me, you, or the government? No, a guy didn't resign over this. 2 guys now. The initial immigration attorney was fired for admitting that the government up. And now the prosecutor, the chief prosecutor on the criminal division that actually launched this investigation also resigned. So it's not 1 but 2 cops that have basically left their jobs and their positions after working for decades. But you know who this looks bad for? Random Twitch streamer, because I'm a moron, and the only way that I can view the world is through conflict with Twitch streamers. Even if Kilmar Abrego Garcia was a rugged criminal, this still wouldn't look worse for me than it does for the Tennessee Highway Patrol or any number of different federal regulatory bodies that overlooked this case and didn't find any real criminal penalties to apply to unjustifiably send someone to El Salvador. You moron. Glad you're honest about it. This looks bad for me, he says. It's embarrassing how people only look through a drama lens. I know. And then they will flip this and be like, Hasan is defending this guy. Oh, it's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how these people live like this. What a stupid way to exist, you know?